of my Guitar Academy, the Jason Stallworth Guitar Academy, you've got the tabs and the backing tracks, so make sure you download those. If you're not part of my Guitar Academy and want to learn more about that, there's a link in the description. Check that out after the lesson. So I'm going to break this riff down into 3 sections. Before we do that, let me just play it out in the open here. We're hopping around back and forth between the E and the A string, and eventually we're going to go over to the D string as well. There's kind of a cool rhythmic pattern here, and I want you just to listen to this. I'm going to slow it down. Of course, I'll throw the tabs up here shortly, but let's go through the notes first. I'm going to slow this down a little bit and just listen to how many times specifically that I palm mute the open E string, okay, in between the other notes that we're playing. I changed it up. I'll just give you a hint. There's a time where I palm mute it twice. There's a time when I palm mute it just once. So listen real carefully. So basically we're palm muting that open E string twice in between the notes until we get to frets 7 and 8 on the A string. One more time. It sort of changes like the rhythm up a little bit. It's like, whoa, that was cool. You hear it being palm muted twice, right, in between those notes, but then all of a sudden we go to once. So it kind of catches your ear off guard a little bit in a good way. But that's the riff. So the notes that we're playing here, the single notes that we're hitting on the A and D strings, and I'll throw the tabs up and we'll play through it together. We are on the 5th fret, 5, 7, and 8. So those are the notes that we're playing on the A string. And there are 2 notes on the D string that we're playing, one of them being kind of a wicked sounding note, which is cool. So those are frets 6 and 7 on the D string. So you can see how we're playing these. Okay, pretty cool. And I like to call the notes out first. Like, okay, well, these are the notes I'm going to play. Now I just got to fit it into whatever order that we're doing it. Kind of simplify it first, then we put it into practice. So I'm going to throw the tabs up. Let's go through this 2 or 3 times here. Part 2 of this cool riff, what I'm calling like a traditional heavy metal riff, is we're just palm muting. Now, we're going to palm mute this together. We'll go through this quickly because, again, it's really just palm muting one note the entire time. We're playing the E power chord, but then we're immediately going right into palm muting just the open E string. There's a reason why I do that, and I'll share that with you, but we're just doing this. The reason why I'm palm muting just that one note is I like that for some parts of some riffs. Depends on the song, depends on the riffs. There's no right or wrong way, so don't go thinking, well, that's the way you're supposed to do it. That does not exist. You guys know that. But I like the way that sounds. It's a little bit tighter, whereas if I palm muted the entire power chord, it would still sound cool. Okay, but this sounds just a little bit tighter. Now let me put this in context real quick. Let me play that first riff going into this, okay? That's it, okay? I mean, I don't think you really need tabs. Well, throw them up there anyway, but really it's just the one note the entire time. We're just going to play the power chord, go right into palm muting that one single note, okay? after that, we're going to go into the third and final part of this traditional heavy metal riff. Let me play the entire thing through so we can hear it in context. Then we'll work on that last piece together. And what's cool about it, well, let me just play it in context first here. It's almost the exact same thing as part one. We're playing kind of the same notes, minus the notes that we played on the D string earlier, but we're playing on the A string frets 5, 7, and 8. But we're holding those out just a little bit. We're not keeping the movement going the entire time, which in my opinion, this is a cool way to break up your riffs. Let's say you just wrote a riff and it's got a lot of movement, but it's like, okay, well, I kind of want to do something different. Well, half time some of those notes, or I'm saying double time some of those notes, let them ring out just a little bit like we did here. So let me play through this slow. Pretty cool. Again, we're just letting some of those ring out a little bit. Kind of sounds wicked. Sounds cool. The only difference here is that last note is one we haven't played yet, and that's that B flat. I remember the Goonies is like, you better hit the right note or we'll all B flat. Anyway, so that's that B flat on the E string 6th fret that we're playing at the end. Kind of cool sounding. All right, here it is with the tabs. Alright, let's run through the entire riff a couple of times here. And remember, you can always pause the video at any point and play through these riffs. You need to go back and you know, practice certain parts of the riffs. I'll put the timestamps in the video as well. So let's go through this. I'll throw the tabs up, then we'll have our usual guitar chat. Earlier in the video, if you're part of the Guitar Academy, your tabs and backing tracks, they're out there, so you can go download those. If you're not part of the Jason Stallworth Guitar Academy, I do have a link. Go check that out. See if it's something that might help you. If you enjoy videos like this and enjoy my style of teaching, there's a good chance that the Academy is going to be something you'll want to get into. So check that out in the description below. So what tone am I using for this lesson? I've been using the BDM plugin, the Amp Knob BDM by Bogger Digital. I still use that plugin a lot. It sounds awesome, but I decided to switch things up this time and I went back to using my Black Star dual distortion pedal, which when I get tired of using plugins, I'll revert back to this pedal. I mean, yeah, I've got an amplifier and all that good stuff too. Actually, my amp is not working. I've got to take it into the shop here. But in any case, though, these little amp pedals that they're making these days, not just the Black Star, but like there are a lot of other brands. I want to play that one that just came out by Engel, the Engel Fireball pedal. Man, that thing sounds cool from the videos I've heard. So who knows, I might be picking one of those up. But again, for this video, I just decided to plug in the Black Star dual distortion. There are like two settings here, two channels here, and each channel has like another option, so it's almost like 4 channels. I've got a complete video if you guys are interested in seeing that. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Pretty cool pedal though. I want to chat with you briefly though on the riff writing we talked about, and you see how we changed up the timing. The one part where I'm palm muting that open E string twice in between other notes, which is something I like to do. If you listen to songs like, probably a good example is Blackened, Metallica's Blackened, where they're going back and forth between strings. That's just a really cool sound. But I do that twice, the palm mute twice on the open E string, but then we switch to only doing it one time. And it just changes up everything a little bit. So I just want to encourage you to think about little changes like you can make in your riffs. They don't have to be big. I think that sometimes we can, or at least me, I can overthink the riff in the song. It's like, okay, I've got this part, but the next part's got to be completely different. It just sounds too much alike or whatever. Or maybe just the riff is, I don't know, just kind of stagnant. Have you ever written something you're like, this is cool, but it kind of sounds like, stock metal, if you will, if that's a thing. I use that term stock because I think it was in Some Kind of Monster when James was telling Lars, like, yeah, I like that beat, but it's kind of like a stock beat. And then Lars gets really pissed off. It's like, well, what do you mean stock beat? But anyway, so his stock metal riffs, it either sounds too much like something else or too much like something you've already written like 10 times over or 100 times over in my case. So these little changes that you can make can really just break that whole thing apart and make it sound completely different and just give it a new sense of life. It brings the riff out. It's like, okay, that one little change, these two little changes, that's it. Got it. Done. So I just want to encourage you to do that with your own riffs as you're writing, because you guys know I love for you to write your own riffs. Yes, I put stuff out here for you to learn and to practice the techniques and that sort of thing, and I appreciate you guys going through my lessons and learning them, but I want you to quickly expand beyond what I'm sharing with you and find ways to make it your own. That's my goal for you, because that's really, you start building a completely different skill set as a guitar player. That is a wrap for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, keep it metal and keep playing music.